Welcome to the Health by Haven podcast. I'm your host, Haven Quinlan. If you're a multi-passionate wellness enthusiast, then you're in the right place. I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about the wellness world, and I want to share that with you. Each episode will dive into various aspects of health and wellness through inspiring and informative guest interviews with some solo episodes thrown in. Tune in for all things health, and let's have some fun, shall we? All right, this week on the Health by Haven podcast, we have Sandy Abel on as a guest. Sandy is the mom of one of my longtime best friends, and she's basically extended family to me, but she's always been somebody I've looked up to in the health and wellness space all growing up, and so I just had to have her come and chat on the podcast. So Sandy, if you want to take a moment to introduce yourself for people who don't know you, maybe tell us a little bit about what you love in the health and wellness realm.
Great. I will do that, Haven. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in your podcast. I think it's a great venture you're pursuing, and I know you'll enjoy it, and all your guests will certainly enjoy it, and listeners too. So I worked in the engineering field for 30 some years and just got to the point that I wanted to change. And I've always been active as far as, sports and just being outdoors. I love being outdoors all the time. So I know that my entire adult life, especially when I paid attention to it, I really enjoyed exercise. And I know how I felt when I did any kind of exercise, whether it was swimming or hiking or running or working out in the gym. And I thought I would really love to be able to help other people feel that same thing too. So I just quit in the engineering world and moved over to fitness and got my personal training certification and have been working in this field for 6 years and pretty much doing things I've done before, but now I'm getting paid to do it, to have fun. So I teach some fitness classes and also do some one-on-one personal training with lots of different clients. So it's been wonderful. Really enjoying it.
I love it. I love that you're like, this is so much fun. I hope everyone feels that way about their jobs.
Well, that's really, you should, but I also, you hope people do. But I think there's a lot of people out there that want to be healthy, they want to exercise, but they think you either need to run a marathon or they think you need to put on yoga pants and go to the gym. You don't have to do either. I mean, I like both those things, but it doesn't mean that you have to be healthy or even further than that, be fit. So that's what I try and encourage people and say, you don't have to be in the gym to be healthy, and just pay attention to what you eat and keep moving. So, yes.
Yes, I love it. It's so easy to overcomplicate, how to be quote unquote healthy or fit or whatever. And it's really comes down to like, eat your veggies and get some steps in and do what you can. You don't have to overcomplicate it. So maybe let's dive into that a little bit with your role teaching group fitness and doing personal training. Talk to us a little bit about your clients, like where are they normally coming to you from as far as like, do they have any fitness level? What are their ages? Just so people can kind of see the full picture.
Great. Be happy to. So, some of this just kind of fell into place. So once I got my certification, I, went job hunting a little bit, but I also had neighbors that said, "Hey, can you help me?" So I worked with a neighbor who was close to my age. I'm in my 60s, and she wanted to try and do a boot camp type of workout, which I was familiar with. So I would meet with her once a week and we'd work out in her driveway or garage. I also had a neighbor that had a 14-year-old son who was extremely inactive and extremely overweight, and he needed some activities and needed some lifestyle changes. So that's kind of where I started. And so now I work at a gym. It's affiliated with our local hospital. And through that, because there are some recovering patients in this gym and associated pool and therapy pool, I've got clients anywhere from 14, still 14-year-old boy, to 80 something. And some of those people are recovering from hip surgery or stroke or car accident. And, I've got some in the middle that are in their 40s and very active and very fit. So kind of a wide range of abilities and ages, which I love. That's the personal side, the personal fitness training. But then I have classes that I teach each week, and some are regular, some I fill in for other people. But the ones I teach regularly are one that's for older people, kind of similar to silver sneakers. So that age group are in their 70s and 80s. And here again, all different abilities. Some are in a walker, actually, and most of them are not. Most of them are very able. And then another class that is a lot more strenuous but low impact. So it involves cardio and strength. And then I'll teach a boot camp class and even a strength class. And those participants are anywhere from 20s to 60s. So all different ages, women and men, both, not just women. So it's really great.
Well, that sounds like fun that, it's different every day and you're teaching to so many different types of clientele. Hopefully keeps things interesting.
It does. It really does. Some of them are very familiar with the gym, and some of them are total novices and really very interested and want to learn. And so those ones I really enjoy are the ones that really don't know much about strength training, for instance. They want to learn and they're just get so excited about it. Like, this is great. I feel so good. And, and those are the ones I love. Yeah.
Oh, that's a goal. That's so rewarding when you can help
Hmm.
people feel their best. That's
Yes.
amazing. So, how do you program for these classes or for these clients with such different ability levels and familiarity with the gym? I mean, that sounds a little bit overwhelming.
It sometimes is. I mean, in the beginning, I would just spend an hour or more every night planning out everything I was going to do the next day, selecting my music, selecting the workout, writing it down because I knew I couldn't remember it all the next day. And now, after 6 years of this, I'm a lot more comfortable with it. So I'm going to say, wing it a little bit. Sometimes I'll have notes with me for the classes so I can make sure I remember to do certain exercises. But I start out the class and tell everyone what equipment we're going to use or need. And my goal each time is to make it varied. I don't offer the same class every time. The description's the same on the program, but I try to mix it up for people. And it's great because it challenges them, teaches them new exercises, and it keeps it interesting for them too, and me. So I do that. Yeah, try to mix it up. And um, so you might see the same exercise in a boot camp as a senior class, but it's not jumping, it's not as intense, but it might be a similar movement, but just modified for that age group.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, I know you and I have talked offline many times about group fitness and that I teach Pure Barre and there's ways to modify that as well for different ability levels. But what are some of those exercises that you're giving people and then how do you add like either challenges or modifications that fit all those different clientele?
So in the senior class, for instance, I will have them do sit stands. So everyone has a folding chair and they sit and then we stand and then we sit and we stand. We might do 8 or 10 reps at the most, and then we rest. And then we do something else so they can catch their breath and kind of collect themselves. And we might do a few things in the chair to rest. Whereas the group that's, a little younger, a little more fit, we'll do sit stands maybe in a chair if we're using a chair that day, but we come up on our toes and we're doing them much faster, or we just do air squats faster with a weight. Whereas boot camp, we might do frog jumps or squat jumps. So just intensifying that same
Mhm.
squat type of movement, but from a chair slowly to jumping without a chair.
I love it. I think it's so inspiring that you have some clients there that maybe are literally, like you said, with a walker normally that still want to get out and get active, or maybe they hadn't ever in their younger lives, but it's very inspiring. And you hear people sometimes talk about, like, oh, I'm too old to run, or I'm too old to do XYZ. And I just so disagree with that.
I do. And, they've done studies. You're never too old, especially to go do strength training. And, we all naturally lose muscle mass as we age. So you need to maintain it and actually be building it because it's going to be losing, it's going to be going away. So that's what I try to tell some of my older clients and people in the class is, you're doing all the right things by being here and moving. And arthritis, a lot of them suffer from arthritis. And so the best thing they can do is move to at least make their joints feel better. And they do. They always leave and they say, "Oh, I feel so much better when I leave." So that's my goal. I want them to feel better physically and mentally when they leave, which is fun.
Yes,
Yes,
definitely. Agreed. I think it's the best part of a lot of people's days getting that movement in. So,
I agree.
okay.
I agree.
Well, I think we like really jumped into it, but I kind of want to go back to the beginning. Have you always been super into fitness? Like, where did this passion come from?
Well, as a kid, when I was younger, I started swimming competitively on a swim team, second grade, I guess. My mom was a good swimmer. So swim team was my sport growing up. And that's what I participated in pretty much year round, summer and winter until late high school. I didn't swim in college or anything, but then even in college, I played racquetball and ran and probably did my first strength training session in college. And this is going to date me a little bit, but at that point, there was a weight room for men only. There was a tiny little room in the women's locker room that had a few universal weights in there, and you could go in there and you might use every machine in 30 minutes and be done. So it was a very, small room for women only. So that was my first taste of that in college. And then when I got out and started working and, wanted to go to the gym in the evening after sitting at a desk all day long,
Hmm.
my routine was pretty much running and then some strength workout. Um, so, so that's pretty much what I did for most of the year. Still swam in between that here and there. I still try to swim once a week. But always like to play tennis and I've always been active outside. Horses are my hobby, so I'm always lifting bales of hay and lifting bags of grain. So I've had to have enough strength to do those chores, really. It needed to be done. And then as I got, I don't know, through my 30s, I guess, I got interested in triathlons. So I started doing a few triathlons in my 30s and later, and those have been really fun. I've enjoyed that. So done a few races and a few triathlons, which is fun. So just the more I got into it, and I had more time, and most people have a hard time finding time for exercise. And I'm the first to say that when I was working full time and had kids, my children, there wasn't a lot of time for exercise. So I might get 3 short runs in a week and one strength workout. So it was not a lot. Um, that is a nice benefit and beauty of semi retirement is having more time to dedicate to exercise or fun activities. So now I'm able to do a lot more, which I enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. How did you balance out? Like, I know you said you've done less maybe when you were working full time, but I think a lot of people are probably in that boat who are listening, like, oh my gosh, I feel like I don't have time to do everything. I work, maybe they have kids, maybe they have other commitments. What would your advice to them be?
So my advice is make time for yourself. It's so easy to say, my child needs me to take them to soccer practice, or my mother-in-law needs help, or my neighbor needs help. Yes, everyone has demands on their time, but if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be happy mentally. And physically, if your health is deteriorating, you're not going to be able physically to help those that need your help. So it doesn't have to be 2 hours a day of exercise. If you can get out and get 150 minutes of activity a week, well, that sounds like a lot, but it's 30 minutes of walking a day. Think about that. And so just purposeful walking. So I would take my children to soccer practice, drop them off. Well, instead of sitting in my car on my phone, I'd get up and I'd walk around the soccer field while I was waiting for them. So take advantage of that time you're waiting, get up and walk around the soccer field. That's easy to do. Or go for a short run around the soccer field. You might have other people looking at you, but who cares? You're moving and they're not. So I did that a lot with, things like that with my children. I'm like, okay, you're being active and you're having fun, but I want to have my time too. And so I'd squeeze it in. I mean, when they're babies, I pushed them in a stroller, got a jogging stroller and pushed them. So not as far, not as long, not as often, but still did it. Took my kids hiking, put them in a backpack. Yeah, it's doable. It's very doable. So you just have to make some modifications to your expectations, and difficult to have a big goal of possibly, um, you know, running a marathon. Yes, that's hard to train for when you have kids, but that can be done too. And I think getting up early and doing in the morning. So get up early, get it done. So it doesn't become 3 o'clock and you go, shoot, I haven't had time to do my activity, whatever it is. And then dinner comes and you run out of time and then it's dark. And so try to do it in the morning. And if the weather's bad or it's dark, find a room in your house, go in the garage. I can tell you plenty of times I just worked out in the garage. So you can make it happen. You can make it happen, but it takes a little planning, takes some coordination. But I think your family will appreciate you, focusing on yourself and doing that. You're taking care of yourself. You're also setting a great example for your kids or those around you. So you might get, some support and get them to chime in with you.
Yeah, so much goodness right there. I mean, one, I don't have children, but I can imagine setting an example is huge. I mean, my parents are active, you know that. I mean, seeing
Yes.
all of our family friends be active was so important as a kid, just ingraining that. And then getting to do it as a family activity too. I mean, Georgie was on the show and we talked about playing family soccer, which
I know
was
it was
so
great.
fun.
It was
Yeah.
great.
It was.
It
And
was
even though
great.
we may not have always loved being on all of the hikes, as teenagers or
That's right.
whatever,
Forced to do hiking.
yeah, that was another activity we did as a group. So I think those are great pieces of advice, as well as just finding little times to sneak it in. Like you said, it like doesn't have to be, this is my like perfect routine and I'm going to be at the gym for 2 hours in my cute outfit and everything. It's like,
Right.
get it in when you
20 minutes. And
can.
you can do a lot in 20 minutes. I said 150 minutes a week of walking. If you're going to do it for a run or really, jog, 75 minutes a week. So think about that. 3 25-minute runs a week is great for health. So it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be a ton of time. So don't think you need to block out a 2 hour window. It can be much shorter and just try to squeeze it in where you can. So
Hmm.
it takes some commitment, it takes some planning, but get up 15 minutes earlier. You'll be happy if you can if the morning is your time, you can squeeze it in. And so many people, I think, say, I'm not a morning person. I really don't like exercise in the morning. So figure out a time is. So maybe it's your lunch hour. One woman
Hmm.
I train, she has a full-time job. She has a lot of responsibilities, but she wants to strength train twice a week. So I go to her office. She works at a school and we work out in the school gym at lunchtime.
I
And she
love it.
changes her clothes and she goes back to her desk. She's a little sweaty, but she does it because she enjoys it. And that's her window of opportunity is lunch.
Yeah, a
So,
great example of making time. And you're right.
yes.
I love a morning workout, but you also have to make sure you're getting in bed so you get enough
Yes.
sleep and
Yes.
then you will enjoy that workout more. I think a lot of people wake up so tired, but part of it is they're sitting on the couch for 3 hours at night watching TV instead of getting their rest.
Right. I mean, so let's say you're a TV watcher and this is the time you spend in the evening with your spouse or your significant other, and you think, well, it's dark, especially in the winter. It's dark or it's cold. I don't want to go to the gym now. Get on the floor and do some abdominal exercises, crunches, sit-ups, bicycles. So you could do that, even do some yoga. So, that's something you can do inside that's quiet. It's not bouncing around. It's good for your body. So at least it's some movement that you can put in there, maybe 30 minutes. You'd be surprised what you can accomplish in 30 minutes.
Okay, where did your love of horses and horseback riding come in?
Oh gosh. So my dad is not living longer, but he was a veterinarian.
I didn't know
So
that.
we You didn't know that? Oh, yeah. My
No.
dad, so we always had animals around. We always had dogs and cats, and I've always loved horses. And um, so I've had a horse since I was 10, so over 50 years. Yeah. So I've always enjoyed it and not always, we didn't always have my horse right at home, but I do now and have for a while. So I really enjoy just everything that goes with them. And I enjoy horseback riding and have gone places with my horse, not too far, but that's a fun activity too. The horse is doing a lot more work than I am, but still, it's a fun activity.
Yeah, definitely. And then I want to talk about some of your favorite races and triathlons.
Oh, well, let's see. So the first one I ever did, I have a had a long time where I would go, and biking is not my strength. So I would go to races and I'd have the oldest, junkiest bike there. Everyone else had these real fancy, expensive bikes, and I didn't. But I didn't care because I was just there to have fun, and I did. So started with shorter ones, and then eventually longer ones, and the longer races for sure, just to be safe and be prepared and accomplish finishing. My goals, by the way, every time were to finish the race and not get hurt.
Yeah,
So
that's
don't fall
great.
off my bike, don't pull a muscle. So I went in with very low expectations and just wanted to finish the race and enjoy it. And every race I've been in, the competitors are so friendly and everyone's encouraging everyone else. And I've loved that. So, um, one of my favorite ones was in Knoxville, the Tri Deltathon, which is a short swim, like maybe a quarter mile swim in the pool, and then a 6 mile bike and a 3 mile run. And that's fun. That happens every year. That's a fun race. I've done that a few times. And then I did a national race, Olympic distance. I qualified for the National Olympic distance in Cleveland, 6 years ago, I guess. And that was awesome. Swimming in Lake Erie with 2 foot waves.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
it was a little scary. It was so windy and waves so high that they canceled the swim part of the shorter triathlon the next day.
Oh my gosh.
But that was a fun race. I enjoyed that one a lot. And then my most recent one was a few years ago. I competed in a half Ironman, and that took a lot of training, a lot of time to prepare, but finished it and didn't get hurt.
Yeah, wow. I
So
remember talking to you about it a little bit. Where did you race it?
So that half Ironman was in Alabama, northern Alabama, and Goose Pond it was called. So we swam in a lake with seaweed and everything, seaweed in
Oh.
my hair, seaweed in my suit, and then a 56-mile bike, and then a 13-mile run, 13.1 mile run. So
Wow, so
that was fun
incredible.
too. Again, lots of you see some amazing athletes,
Yeah,
some
I bet.
really strong, amazing people.
Uh-huh. So how did you go about training for that with the three different components?
It takes a lot of time. It's a big time commitment, so I don't do them regularly. I may find a race and train for it, and then I still always swim, bike, and run to a small degree all the time, just to kind of stay in because I like the variation in activities. But for that longer race, I ran like 3 times a week and would swim twice a week and would bike 3 times a week. And then as we got closer to the event, months out, I'd start combining them together and I'd do a swim and a run or a swim and a bike and then a bike and a run another day and just gradually built up the time that I had to perform in each activity and trained in those longer distances. Um, and honestly, the hardest thing for me when I think back on it was not so much the physical training, but it was the fuel,
Yeah.
getting the right fuel. First couple times I went out and I either swam or biked or ran, whatever I was doing for 4 hours, I got home and I couldn't get off the sofa. I was so depleted and so hungry. I realized I couldn't do that. You can't go 4 hours and not fuel yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned to eat properly beforehand, which I was doing, but you have to eat. So I trained myself to eat something every 20 minutes, bike, run, whatever's doing. Not on the swim so much, but on the biking and running, I carried food with me all the time. I carried a fanny pouch with animal crackers, cranberries, goos. So learning how to fuel your body, and everyone's different. Like I needed something every 20 minutes, but some people could go a lot longer without fuel, but I needed to stay fueled to keep up my energy. And honestly, when I finished the race, I felt great. Felt
That's
great. So
amazing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that took some learning on my part. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I could say a similar vein for running distance. I used to never feel I wouldn't eat before. It would upset my stomach. I wouldn't eat anything during it. Then I started to learn to take water in. Then I finally started, I've tried a lot of different. I started with honey sticks, which by the way, terrible for the GI tract. Then I had like the chews, like the running chews. And
Yes,
then
yes,
finally I found a gel that I liked because I could never keep those down. They just really grossed me out. But that definitely revolutionized my training. And like you said, to not be just useless on the couch the rest of the day because I was getting
yes,
headaches. I was just
yes.
so fatigued.
Your
Um,
glycogen stores are probably depleted. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So being able to do that and then just like live a normal day the rest of the day was just like huge. And then I also, I mean, it helped my speed a ton too, because I wasn't like working from a place of depletion.
I bet. All right. And so that's something for people to think about is so, you may not want to run a long distance or like a long distance, but you can do it. But don't be discouraged if you go out the first time and you're so exhausted. Maybe you didn't fuel properly. May not be that you're not
Yeah.
strong enough, physically, but maybe you just didn't fuel properly. So if it happens the first time, try to look into that, investigate, what you're eating or not drinking, and make sure you're properly hydrated and fueled to go those longer distances. And even a short run, I mean, 30 minutes is fine, but if you're exercising, I think more than 30 minutes, close to an hour, you need to have some additional fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took me years to realize that how big of a difference it would make. And I mean, I think, it for people who might be exercising for like weight management or weight loss, they think like, oh, I can't feel like I need to exercise fasted and all this stuff. And I mean, I know that there are qualified people to talk about all the nutrition and all of that, but I think like sustainability wise, you'll feel so much better if you fuel properly that you'll be able to make it part of your routine.
I agree. I agree totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Are you, correct me if I'm wrong, are you working on hiking the full AT in sections?
Well, we're talking about it. So
Okay.
all the other goal I had when I retired, just several friends and I decided we wanted to do more hiking. So we spent 3 years or so or more hiking all of the 900 miles of the Smoky Mountains National Park. So we got that accomplished a couple years ago and had a great time doing it together. It takes a lot of planning. We did not backpack camp. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to come home to a nice warm meal and a shower and a bed.
Yeah.
So some long hikes, sometimes as much as 25 miles.
Whew.
And again, you have to prepare for that. We didn't think in the beginning that we would be able to do that distance, but we worked up to it over months and got them completed and had a great time doing it. And so now, yes, we're trying to hike different sections of the AT. Again, not through hiking, but we'll go for 3 nights, stay in a cabin, then hike 3 days in a row and come home. So yes, trying to tackle different sections of the AT and having a great time doing that. See beautiful scenery and the hiking outside of the Smoky Mountain National Park is a little different. Sometimes you're on private land, sometimes you're
Oh,
in a
wow.
state forest, or sometimes you're in a state park. So, or national forest. So it's very different as far as the scenery, which we're really enjoying.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so cool. I had no clue there was like sections on private land.
Yes, I didn't either. So we're discovering
Wow.
some new environments.
Yeah, for sure. What's been some of the prettiest things you've seen or coolest things?
What we went for a hike a couple weeks ago in northeast Tennessee. So we were hiking on the Tennessee North Carolina border near Roan Mountain State Park, and for several miles we were in an area that was treeless. So it was a bald with tall grass, and the tall grass um, for about 2 miles in this field, we were walking through blueberry and blackberry bushes. So we just ate the whole 2 miles. We'd stop and pick berries and eat and keep walking. So that was pretty neat. We've been up on top of ridges and looked down into gorges, like in Nantahala Gorge in North Carolina. It was beautiful. So, yeah, very
Very
neat. So
cool.
hoping to do some more of that in the coming months.
Definitely. Hopefully, when it cools off a little bit.
Yes, it's pretty hot here today. 94, I think, today.
Yeah, I know. We had fake fall last week. I'd love for it to
Yes,
be
we
real
did.
fall.
We did.
Okay, and then I know we obviously touched on the personal training aspect at the beginning, but I'm very curious what going through that certification was like.
It was wonderful. Loved it. I've always enjoyed the exercise, but really didn't understand or know the science behind the body and how things work and how your cells create ATP, which fuels you. So, the certification that I went through was involving some gym time as well as classroom time. And we had a textbook that we had to follow and go through. So I think there's some other programs that are maybe more demanding, and some that are less demanding. But I felt when I was finished that it gave me a great understanding of proper form of some exercises. A lot of them I was familiar with, some I was not familiar with. So proper form in different weight training exercises in a gym, body weight, dumbbells, barbells, machines. So understanding how to operate each and perform reps in the proper form. And then also as far as cardio goes, what goes into that? And then all the benefits from exercise, just, 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise, like walking, reduces your chances of diabetes and heart disease and certain cancers. So, I had no idea that. I knew it was healthy for you, but in what degree? So, I try to tell people that don't feel like, again, don't feel like you have to do some great feat. Just get moving. Even walking is great health benefits. So that was very encouraging to me, just to be able to tell their people it doesn't have to be, a huge obstacle or a huge goal. To me, just try to move enough to be healthy. I mean, you can move enough to be healthy if you have higher goals. Maybe you move enough because you want to be more fit. And then there's also the other level of more performance, kind of like you're doing, Haven. You're trying to perform and you've got a goal that you want to meet as far as, a longer race and perform at that level. So um, that's been great as far as learning that. So that's what the training was about, is understanding the benefits of exercise and the science behind it, and as well as, you know, all about macronutrients and micronutrients and how important they are and how the body uses them and why they're important and why we should get them and what combinations, and the nutrition part to me is fascinating too. Probably learned more about the nutrition even than the activity. So that
Yeah,
was great.
I'm very into that as well.
Yes,
So,
yes.
what's your favorite like pre-workout meal or snack to eat?
So most mornings, at least 4 or 5 mornings a week, my breakfast is 2 or 3 egg omelet with vegetables, whatever's in the refrigerator. I throw it in there, tomatoes, zucchini, onions, whatever it is. So an omelet with vegetables, and then a bowl of oatmeal with berries and nuts and a little honey. So
Mm,
that's my go-to breakfast.
all of that sounds delicious.
Yes.
Maybe I'll have breakfast for dinner after this.
Yes.
And okay, what's your favorite workout class or personal training, maybe if that's it? What's your favorite thing to teach?
Um, I really enjoy teaching the class I teach at 10:30. It's called Fitness for Life. I do enjoy it. It's not boot camp. Boot camp is fun, but this is benefits a lot of people. It's low impact, so you're not jumping and you're not um, it's easy on the joints, easy for a lot of people to maybe have a bad knee or bad shoulder. And we do a mix of cardio for 30 minutes and then another 15 minutes of strength and then a little bit of stretching at the end, another 15 minutes of stretching. So it's a nice combination of everything. So if you feel like, okay, I need to do some cardio today, but I want a little strength and I want to stretch too, we cover all of that in an hour. And sometimes we use a step. We'll do some work on steps. Sometimes we use a BOSU or other equipment, sometimes just body weight. And I feel like I mean, everyone's sweating when we leave. It's not easy. So there are lots of ways to make it tough. So I probably enjoy that. It's a nice variation to running, and it's a fun thing to do with other people.
Yeah. Do you find, well, I don't know, do you work out with your clients and in your classes, or do you find that you're solo working out a lot or you're meeting other people to do so?
I probably do my own workout by myself mostly.
Hmm.
Yes. So I mean, I can certainly when I teach a class, I don't think there's any class I teach where I don't do the activity with them. There are some instructors that just say do this and do that, but they don't participate. I'm always participating. I enjoy that. So beyond the classes, I'm typically running, swimming, biking by myself. Hiking I do with friends, of course, and sometimes I'll run with a friend, but a lot of times it's by myself. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have a mixture, though, I think.
It's a mix. I do a mix.
Hmm. Okay. I've got a couple of final questions and we'll get into our rapid fire.
Okay.
I'm curious what your favorite food is as well, or maybe a few of your favorite foods, like last day on earth meals.
I don't know if I could tell you my favorite meal, but I think if you asked me what would be the last food I would give up if I had to, the last food I would,
Yeah.
it'd be tomatoes.
Really?
Tomatoes. Just think about it. Tomato sauce on pizza,
Mm.
tomato sauce in Italian food, tomatoes and salsa in Mexican food. I love tomatoes in my eggs. I like tomatoes on a sandwich. So tomatoes.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're very versatile.
Yes. Ketchup.
Yeah, true. I love it. What's your favorite type of music to program a class to?
Well, as I mentioned, I am teaching to an older clientele sometimes. So we're looking at 1980s. I'll play a lot of Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind, and Fire. So some high beat intensity music. And
Yes.
I mixed in some current music from, I don't know, Kelly Clarkson or even Rihanna and Bruno Mars, but even, Ed Sheeran. So it depends on, or Ariana Grande. I love her music. So a little bit of everything.
Okay, this might be a mean question, so you don't have to pick. But if you had to pick one type of exercise modality, what would your favorite be?
As far as an activity, it'd be running,
Yeah.
just because, and I think the reason I picked up running years ago and don't swim as much as I used to is because you can run anywhere. You can
Hmm.
run in a city, you can run in a hotel on a treadmill if you have to, you can run at home, you can run anywhere. So
Where's your favorite scenery to run in?
I kind of like running on my street in my neighborhood. I live out in the
Yeah.
country, so I can run and, usually don't pass a single car and I feel
Yeah.
safe and yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah. Definitely beautiful scenery there. I love
Yes.
a beach run too. So I don't
Yeah.
know if
Oh,
you ever run
that
at
I
the beach.
love to, for sure. I'll be doing that next week.
Oh, so fun. I'm jealous.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yes.
It's not
Oh, I don't know. Am
scary.
I ready? Do I need
It's
to
not scary.
prepare?
It's not scary. It's just a this or that, basically.
Okay.
Okay. Morning or evening workout?
Morning,
Running or walking?
running,
Lifting or body weight?
body weight,
Indoor or outdoor workouts?
outdoor,
Juice or smoothie?
neither. Tea.
All right. I like it. Coffee or matcha?
Oh, coffee.
Salad or bowl?
Like a bowl with mixed things in it.
Yeah, like grains or anything.
Oh, I like a bowl with grains and salad in it. Yes.
I like to mix them as well.
Mhm.
Pizza or pasta?
Pasta,
Tacos or quesadilla?
quesadilla,
An early riser or night owl?
early riser.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on today.
You're so welcome, Haven. Totally enjoyed it. So we talked for 45 minutes. I feel like we barely got started.
I know, right? I told the same thing to Savannah. I said, you might have to be a recurring guest. So,
That's all right. Happy to do it. Just so much to talk about, and don't people should not be afraid to go try some. Just be consistent and keep it up and just do what you like. Don't do something you don't enjoy, but push yourself and you'll enjoy it.
the perfect advice. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Health by Haven podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review. It makes such a huge difference in reaching new people and spreading the joy of healthy living. I would also be so appreciative if you subscribe to the show in the listening app of your choice so you never miss an episode. Your support truly means the world to me. Have a happy, healthy day, and I'll talk to you again soon.